عزیزانم، امروز مهمانی داریم بسیار عزیز و گرامی که بار دیگر دعوت ما رو پذیرفتند و در برنامه ما شرکت کردند. جناب ربای الیاهو کین که ایشون ربای کنیسای اوراهایم هستند که به 7 زبان زنده دنیا سخن میگویند و همچنین کلاس‌های مختلفی دارند مثل کلاس ازدواج، زناشویی، جوانان و کلاس‌های مختلف که به 7 زبان در این کلاس‌ها البته کلاس‌های مختلف صحبت می‌کنند و امروز این محبت رو داشتن که در استودیو با ما هستند. شالوم ربای.
Shalom. Nice to be here today.
Nice to accepting our invitation one more time.
Sure.
Would you please tell us what you are going to talk about it tonight? What is the subject?
I decided that tonight's subject should be about an enemy that very few people are aware.
Yes.
David, King David used to say, God, help me with my friends. I can take care of my enemies.
Oh.
What does that mean? An enemy you can recognize,
Yes.
you're aware, and hopefully you know how to defend yourself from him. A friend who you think is a friend is not always a friend. This friend who you think is nice to you, is helpful, could really be an enemy. There's an enemy in this country, in every country, all over the world,
Yes.
that is affecting humanity much more
Yeah.
than the enemy at war. It's called pollution. What kind of pollution? Not the pollution that you're used to seeing with cars. The pollution of the mind. The mind today is being contaminated by the mass media,
Yes.
though all of us hear and see. The eyes see, the ears hear, and as a result of absorbing all of that information, not always good information, the mind becomes hijacked. The mind becomes influenced in a very negative way. And so people are not aware that this is an enemy. This enemy does not want to help us. This enemy has its own interest. And many, many times it is a very, very damaging influence that unfortunately we absorb in our homes, affecting not only the parents but the children as well. And an entire generation is growing up with a mind that's polluted, contaminated with the wrong values.
Can I translate?
Sure.
I translate very, very short.
Yes.
من سعی میکنم حرفای ربای رو تا اونجایی که ممکنه کوتاه برای شما عزیزان ترجمه کنم. ایشون میفرمایند که کینگ دیوید میگفته خدایا من میدونم با دشمنام چه کار بکنم اما نمیدونم با دوستانم چگونه مواظب باشم. میخوان بگن که ایشون همه کس در واقع اونجور که نشون میده نمیتونه دوست انسان باشه و بعد ایشون در مباحثشون میگن که منظورشون چی هست و اینه که انسان ممکنه اشتباه بکنه و چیزی مغزشو بشوره و به اشتباه فکر کنه که اون دوستش هست و ممکنه اون کس خیلی به آدم نزدیک باشه حتی در خونه انسان قرار بگیره. Would you please tell us what is it?
Yeah. Well, if you've noticed over the years, you've seen yourself how women dress differently today than they did 40, 50 years ago.
Yes.
Today there's no more sharm, no more shame,
Yes.
no more modesty, decency.
Yes.
Women are putting up a show. They are drawing attention to themselves and causing many men to look at them. And you say, well, what's wrong with that? Well, it could possibly be that this woman is not getting enough attention at home. Her husband is not giving her the attention that she needs. And she's looking elsewhere. So how does she draw attention? By the way she dresses. The dress code of people has changed in a very, very bad, tasteless way. And this is already affecting people. Now, this is not only in the street, this is on TV, this is on the movies.
Yes.
This dress code is one way that people's mind is becoming contaminated. they are seeing things that are not proper. And they're getting used to it. And you know what happens when people get used to something? They don't become
Normal.
They're no more sensitive to it.
Yes.
They don't think that
Feel
this is a problem anymore. And more people get used to it. And children, little girls, are dressing in an immodest way.
Yes. جناب ربای میفرمایند که در واقع اگر توجه بکنیم لباس پوشیدن حال ما با لباس پوشیدن گذشته ها بسیار فرق میکنه و در واقع یک نوع، البته من گفته های ایشون رو ترجمه میکنم، یک نوع بیشرمی است، نه در همه، بعضیا، و این لباس هایی که به خصوص در تلویزیون و یا مد و اینا نشون میدن در واقع مردم رو مثل اینکه مغزشون رو عوض بکنن و اینها عادت میکنن و براشون به صورتی در میاد که دیگه براشون عادی هست و این لباس پوشیدنه که دنیا رو داره عوض میکنه.
Yes.
Did you understand?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
You did a very good job.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, please.
This is the dress code. Then there is the problem of speech, foul language,
Yes.
that people are hearing more and more these days.
Oh, yeah.
And when people communicate in such a very disrespectful way,
Yes.
using bad language, this
Yes.
is also another form of pollution that is influencing people in a very negative way. It forms their opinion about people.
Yes.
It forms their opinion about
Gossiping.
life. Not just gossiping, it's the style, the language, the cursing, the words they choose to complain and to voice their opinion. There's a lack of respect.
ایشون میفرمایند یکی دیگر از مشکلات اینه که با صحبت کردنشون حرفایی میزنن که جالب نیست، زیبا نیست، هرچی میخوان به زبون میارن و متاسفانه I saw it on the movie 100 times very bad words.
Yes.
صحبت‌های بد میکنن و منفی درباره دیگران صحبت میکنن و مواظب زبونشون نیستن. And your tongue is very important.
That's correct.
زبون شما خیلی مهمه که در فضا چی دارید میگید و دهانتون باز میشه و زبانتون حرکت میکنه.
That's correct. No, خیلی مهمه. You're 100% right. Yes.
Okay.
So what we have here is a bombardment. Imagine bombardment.
بمباران.
We're not talking about missiles and bombs. We're talking about mass media.
Yes.
Television, internet, radio, newspapers, magazines. Bombardment.
Yeah.
And people hear, see, and for them it's entertainment.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, of course not.
Yes.
And this affects the mind. This really affects the way people think. This will affect them in the way they dress.
Yes. ایشون میگن که همه especially young people جوانان در تحت تاثیر مثل حالت بمباران این مدل ها رو میبینن، مجله ها رو، روزنامه ها رو، تلویزیون رو، و البته راجع به همه اونا صحبت نمی کنن، میگن بعضیاشون باعث میشن که جوانای ما تحت تاثیر قرار بگیرن و براشون عادی بشه. I hope one day you are going to speak fluently Farsi. Yes. And what else?
So let me just put it in the right perspective.
Sure.
This is something that has been happening all around us. And it's not controlled. Not controlled meaning that even though certain filters do exist, if people understood that this is wrong, that this is an enemy, there are filters, there are ways of controlling this, there are ways of keeping this out of our life.
Yes.
I'm not against the internet or mass communication. I think this is a very powerful tool if it's used the right way. But filters have to be put in place. Parents have to realize the limits, the weaknesses, the strength of this tool, this very powerful tool. Because before you know it, the kids grow up, they become adults, you can no longer teach them, you can no longer influence them.
Excuse me, Rabbi
Sure.
Elyahu Kin. How can we control the children? Everybody has their own internet. Everybody has their own room. Are you going to be with your children 24 hours a day? Maybe you go to sleep. They are in their room.
Excellent question.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh,
Do you remember there was a president in the United States by the name of Franklin Roosevelt?
of course.
Right before he declared war on Japan, he went to Congress.
Yes.
Obviously, this is a formality that's required by the government.
Yes.
But what's the purpose of declaring war in front of TV, in front of all the citizens of this country, in front of the government? What's the idea behind it? What does it accomplish? And the answer is the United States of America, all of its citizens have to be aware that this is the enemy. They have to identify with the cause. If you remember Vietnam, not everybody identified with the cause, with the war.
Yes.
The president's responsibility, if he's going to war, is hopefully to convince the people in a formal declaration the Japanese is the enemy, in World War II, that is.
Yeah.
And to explain why they are the enemy.
Yes.
War has to be declared on pornography. War has to be declared on foul language. War has to be declared on immodest clothing. Now, it's very difficult to convince people because they believe in freedom of speech, they want to be liberal, they don't want to be told what to do. It has to start from the home. The parents have to teach their children, this is an enemy of yours. You don't realize it. You don't know it. You're not experienced enough. It appears friendly. It appears nice. It's the latest style to wear this. What's wrong with it? How are you going to convince someone? You first have to declare war. Declaring war means you identify this as an enemy. Then, hopefully, you will teach them.
Yes.
You will send them to schools where they will teach this. If you don't send them to schools where they agree with you, then you're going to have a war with them. You're going to have a continuous battle because the teacher believes
Say
one thing,
something
the
else.
parents believe something else, and then you can't win. So you have to make sure that your home, the school, is in agreement that this is an enemy, this is wrong, this is dangerous.
I hope they listen.
Sure.
ربای میگن که باید که ما پدر مادرها، البته خیلی خلاصه میگم چون طولانی بود گفتشون، پدر مادرها باید روی بچه هاشون کنترل داشته باشن، نه که با داد و بیداد با بچه ها صحبت کنن، اونا رو قانع کنن، قشنگ اونا رو بشونن بگن این دشمن توه، این طوره، باهاشون صحبت کنید. بهترین کار اینه که everybody has be friend with their child.
Have to have a close relationship, right?
Yeah. Closer relationship, but they have to know you are not the friend. It's not good to be a friend, huh? Just they know you are father and mother and you understand them.
Well, obviously, you have to have a close relationship.
Yes.
You can call it friend, you can call it something else. Close relationship means that they will trust you.
I heard one of psychologists
Yeah.
said that you shouldn't be friend. You are parent. I heard that.
Obviously, that's true. That
Yes.
on some level, the child has to recognize that this is their parent,
Yes.
not their friend. But that parent cares about them, loves them dearly,
Of course.
and means their well.
Yes.
So that is a matter of building up trust more than anything else.
You know, I feel so sorry for myself.
Sure.
Not for myself. I mean parents.
Right.
Because it's not easy. We are coming in the middle of everything. Everything. It's not easy. You control your child.
Right.
It's not easy.
Sure.
But I think it goes back to our childhood that how the parents to learn them from the first day. Maybe that helped.
Today, parents don't have time, quality time to spend with their children,
Yes.
to give over to them the tradition, the values that they held high, that they believed were always important. They don't have the time. And they entrust their child to teachers. Hopefully those teachers will have those values that they believe in.
Yes.
Hopefully those teachers will teach the kids what the
Yes.
parents want them to teach. And this is a very important part of bringing up the children, is to make sure that the education they receive until high school, at least until high school, is the right education. Not coming from a contaminated source, coming from a pure source.
Yes.
So,
You know, Rabbi, I used to do this myself. I used to, as a volunteer,
Sure.
work at school on the classes of my children. So I know what's going on. But I didn't see that much Iranian comes to the classes volunteer. Recently is getting better. When you go with your child, you go to the school, is better. Sometimes they know that you are there for them.
sure.
Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so what else you want to add?
Well, we need to know how to deal with it properly,
Yes.
because this is a very powerful tool. And when I say powerful, I don't mean that it is able to communicate all over the world. This tool that we call TV, internet, media, is powerful in that it has a tremendous influence. And sometimes this influence is more powerful than the influence of the parents and of the teachers.
Yes.
So now we got to figure out, how do we counter this? How do we neutralize it? We can't make it go away. As you said, every child has access to it.
Yes.
What can we do
Wow.
to
what we
fight
can do.
this? What can we do to win this battle? What can we do to stay sane, that our minds are healthy,
Yes.
that our minds are not hijacked? What can we do?
چه کار بکنیم که بچه هامون بدونیم که مغزاشون رو شستشو نمیدن، مغزاشون رو ازشون نمیدوزدن وقتی که نه، که یعنی که فکرشون رو بشورن وقتی که در خانه نیستند. When they are not home, what
Yes.
we should do.
Yeah, we don't want people to be brainwashed.
Yes.
We want them to think on their own. The mind has to be clean.
مغز باید تمیز باشه،
تمیز
سالم باشه.
Yeah, yes. So the question is, what do you do?
چه کار باید بکنیم؟
The mind acts like a sponge.
مغز انسان درست مثل یک اسفنج کار میکنه.
Yes. Therefore, we need to make sure that this mind absorbs the right things.
برای همین باید مطمئن بشیم وقتی که اسپانج همه آبا رو میگیره، این مثل همه چیز رو به خودش میگیره این مغز، ببینیم چیز بدی رو به مغزش راه نده.
Yes. If the mind has absorbed good things,
This is for everybody.
sure, for everybody.
بله، برای هر کسی میگن.
If the mind has absorbed good things,
Yes.
positive things,
اگر مغز انسان چیزای مثبت و درست رو جذب بکنه،
then there is less of a danger that when it is exposed to the wrong values, to the wrong elements, it will replace what it already has with what is bad, because it already has something good.
وقتی انسان چیزهای خوب رو تو مغزش جذب کنه و بگیره، دیگه جایی برای فکرهای بد وجود نداره.
If the mind is empty,
اگه مغزشون خالی باشه از چیزهای خوب،
then whoever is out there who has a lot of power
yes.
will unfortunately be the first one to be absorbed into that mind.
We can say that اگر که کسی ترین نشده باشه، مغزش رو ترین نکرده باشه، تربیت نکرده باشه که چیزهای خوب رو به مغزش راه بده، اون زمان هست که آدمای سودجو به راحتی میتونن انسان رو به اون راهی بکشونن که ببرن. البته من طور دیگه گفته ایشون رو ترنسلیت کردم، ترجمه کردم. I said it's so easy. When you don't have anything here, it's very easy for the bad people with kindness, with the mask come to you and change you.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what is happening.
Yes.
In our generation, people's mind is being hijacked, contaminated, polluted against their will, unknowingly. They're innocent. So many good people are being
Yes.
affected by this, not even realizing it. They don't realize that this is an enemy, that this is destroying their life, destroying their marriage, destroying their spirituality, their
Yes.
connection with God.
Yes. ایشون میگن وقتی که ما مغزمون رو با چیزای خوب پر نکردیم به راحتی تحت تاثیر قرار میگیریم و باعث میشه حتی زندگی زناشوییمون هم به هم بخوره. بچه هامون هر کدوم به یک راه دیگه برن.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is why I remind people all the time, ignorance is your worst enemy of all. Ignorance.
Yeah. بی‌توجهی.
Learn.
یاد بگیریم.
Spend time every day learning. Learn how to be a successful husband. Learn how to be a good friend. Learn how to be a good father. If you're learning how to drive,
You're right.
learn about this. This is even
You're
more
right.
important.
You're right.
People do not learn.
They just sit and watch all the movie and they don't spend the time to learn.
No, they will learn
Even
from
one book, they don't read one book.
they will learn from a movie star
Yes. That's
who has
absolutely.
failed
Yes.
as a husband, has failed as a father, has failed as an individual. These are the people they're learning from.
ایشون میگن که برای اینکه تو زندگیمون به راه درست بریم باید هر روز سعی کنیم چیز یاد بگیریم. یاد بگیریم مثلا چجوری یک زن خوب باشیم، چجوری یه شوهر خوب باشیم، چجوری پدر خوب باشیم، مادر خوب باشیم. و متاسفانه خیلی ها هستن که وقتشون رو میذارن روی تیوی خوبه ولی خب برنامه‌های آموزنده‌شو میشه یاد گرفت و حتی یک کتاب هم نمیخونن و یاد نمیگیرن و از این مووی استارا که البته حرف من نیست، ایشون میگن که از این مووی استارا یاد میگیرن که شاید بعضی از اونها هم فیل شدن و به جایی نرسیدند.
And I feel so bad that there's no major organizations like the United Nations that should make an assembly, an important meeting to confront this problem. They're dealing with all kinds of battles around the world.
Exactly.
Instead of realizing, look at what is contributing towards crime,
Yes.
towards divorces. Society is falling apart.
Exactly.
This is the more immediate problem. This is a big threat to the future. Why don't you deal with it together as a world? All the nations should come together and realize that this needs to be taken care of.
Yes.
And if they really would, they would be able to. If they really wanted to,
Yes.
they could do it.
Of course. ایشون میگن برای هر برنامه یک ارگانیزیشنی هست. چرا یه ارگانیزیشن نیست که اینا رو به مردم یاد بده؟ اجتماع ما داره خراب میشه، از هم پاشیده میشه و کسی به فکر این نیست که این کار رو بکنه.
What people need to emphasize is working on refining their character. That needs to be emphasized. We are not perfect. We have a raw nature.
Yes.
We need to realize that we can become better people. We have great potential, but it begins with refining character. And I have a whole series of lectures on various characteristics,
Yeah.
khususiyat,
Sure.
of what people can do, advice on how to not be angry, how not to be lazy, how not to be stingy. Make this one of your goals in life, at least one of your goals,
Yes.
to become a better person by working on your character and nature.
ایشون میگن so we can start it from us.
Sure.
ایشون میگن که چقدر خوب میشه که هر کسی روی شخصیت و خصوصیت خودش کار بکنه و خودش رو عوض بکنه و آدم بهتری بشه. ما میتونیم از خودمون شروع کنیم و کم کم میبینیم که اجتماع ما عوض میشه. و ایشون میگن که من یک وبسایت دارم که هست 7200 بیورلی. برید رو اون وبسایت 7200 بیورلی رو اون برید و ببینید که ایشون کلاس های مختلف دارن. You don't have it in Farsi, do you?
No, except for this particular
Only
interview.
me.
Yes.
ایشون کلاس ها به زبان های مختلف دارن، ولی تمام برنامه هایی که در برنامه ما اجرا شده روی اون وبسایت هم میتونید نگاه کنید.
Yes. What I would like to suggest,
We have only 3 minutes.
what I would like to suggest
Yes.
is that people realize that in the same way we have shutters over our windows to keep out the sunlight,
That's so nice.
these are the windows of the soul, the eyes. What the eyes see is so important. It's going to record everything in that brain. Make sure you close your eyes when you need to, when you see things that are not appropriate. Make sure you close your mouth not to say the wrong things. Make sure you dress properly so that you don't have a negative influence over others.
Yes.
Make sure you behave yourself like a decent human being. Don't be an animal, because that is what the mass media is teaching people these days. Be like an animal. Be free to do what you think and to express what you believe, even though it may be harmful to others. But this is a democracy, they say. But the reality is that democracy is not always good.
ایشون میفرمایند توجه کردید به خونه ها که سایبون داره یا در بسته میشه، چرا؟ از خانه میتونه محافظت کنه. چشمای ما هم میتونه از روح ما محافظت کنه. وقتی که چیز بدی میبینیم چشمامون رو ببندیم به روش، ایگنورش کنیم. اگر که دهانمون حرف بد میزنه دیگه صحبت نکنیم راجع به این مسئله. این ما هستیم که میتونیم خودمون رو تربیت کنیم و زندگی رو عوض کنیم. اگر لباسی میپوشیم که جالب نمیاد به نظرمون، لباس پوشیدنمون رو عوض کنیم. That's it.
Yes.
Anyhow, I'm very glad. I want to talk to you more, but I'm so sorry our time is up. Thank you so much for coming
It's
to
very
our
nice
show.
to be here.
بینندگان عزیز